July garden update 2023. All right. The haze from the Canadian wildfires has finally cleared off a bit. Blue skies. It's been gray out for like the last 3 weeks almost, minus a couple days. My birthday was nice. That was cool. I cleared up. Last night was pretty nice too. So I guess we'll just get right into it. I was going to get into more about the haze. Some people say that it affects the garden, makes things slower. I don't think so. Honestly, I think that the haze from the wildfires saved us from having just scorching hot weeks these past 3 weeks, because it's been hot everywhere else but in our area, and that's because of the smoke that's, hindering a lot of that sunlight from coming in. So it actually benefited the garden quite a bit. Peach tree, of course, still ain't changed color yet. That won't happen for another month and a half. I'm doing something interesting here. Got a lot to talk about in this video. Air layering. Been getting a lot of mixed reviews. People who say they can air layer peaches, but then they don't do any follow-up videos to let you know how the tree is doing health-wise. But I got this one big branch in here. I'm gonna have to cut out a lot of this growth when in the fall after the peaches drop, and I'll be cutting out a lot of this wood. So I figured, why not try to clone this tree, because a lot of this wood's just going to go into the burn pile. You don't want to really compost your prunings when it comes to your fruit trees, because you can bring in disease. And here are the damn Japanese beetles getting it on. That's not happening here. Goodbye. I like how they do this thing where like they'll cling to a branch, but if you get close to them, they'll just drop like dead weight and fall to the ground. It's a pretty cool defense mechanism. I wish I could do that, Somebody was approaching me, I could just like tumble down and fly away. It's pretty sick. But I don't know how good the malathion works. If a bug eats the leaf where the malathion has been applied, then they ingest the poison. Just landing on the tree, of course, isn't going to kill them. If they start feeding on the tree, there is a different deal. And it has been working. I have had minimal pest damage. I still netted up 15 peaches just so I could make sure that I had 15 good peaches for myself out of all of them. So I got this black Tartarian cherry tree from Stark Bros. Some people say don't use Stark Bros because they're shorting people on royalties. If you want to research more into that, come up with your own conclusions. But this was what I had. They had a Father's Day sale, and they sold this tree $32 out the door, free shipping. $32 after tax, pretty much on the dot. And I'm air layering this one as well because I'm going to cut out this stem here. I don't want this tree getting big and tall. I want it getting out and bushy like the peach tree. I want my cherry tree to be like my peach tree, Just got done installing a new window. It's pretty sick. First time ever doing that, and it came out pretty good. Look at that window. But anyways, Asian pears starting to get some mass to them. Air layering off this branch here because once again, this is a branch that I will not be growing out. I will be pruning this off during dormancy. So instead of just throwing it into the burn pile, I figured why not clone it. So we'll see how that works. Those were just done within the last 2 weeks. This one and the peach were done yesterday. So it's going to be probably about 3 months before there's any updates on that. So September-ish should let you know. Grapes coming in. I've been keeping up on the spraying with the Captan, and it seems to be working. I come through and I pull off any of the infected leaves that still get the rust or whatever it is, and that's been pretty minimal. So any leaves that are discolored, come through and remove them. Trying my best to stay up on it. And, it's working out pretty well, but it did the same last year. But then I didn't get as many fruits last year either. And the fruits that I did get ended up getting rot. So I may have gotten like 5-6 grapes out of the whole bushel, out of the whole thing. but this one actually looking really good. I came through and I pruned back, and I'll explain this more with the tomatoes too. I came through and I pruned back a lot of these grapes, and by doing that, you know, this grape cluster right here could have been a whole lot longer, but it would have had tiny little grapes on it, you know, like it's got on the end here. Now the tops ones are big, but then it gets smaller as it goes down. You bust off that little tip of it and it gets to focus all its growth on, you know, the good ones, you know, like these are some nice strands of grapes in here. Look at that. That's a nice one. All right. So I don't know. They were supposed to be green hemrods, but they're not. I think they're Concords or some kind of seedless tart cherry or tart grape, something sour. The volunteer squash. If it wants to grow, by golly, I'll let it grow. This thing last year got every bit of 50 foot long, one of these plants did. But you can't eat it. It's table squash. It's that inedible decorative squash. It just looks cool. It's a nice table setting, you know, decor kind of thing. Chicago or brown turkey fig. Coming back, it overwintered. I'm not thinking I'm going to get figs on it this year because it's kind of late, and I remember the figs take at least a month and a half to ripen. So we'll see. Maybe it's just building up its rootstock, and as the years go on, it'll be more growth, more quicker, more better. Chamomile putting on its flowers. People said that the Canada wildfire haze might have, you know, caused flowers to stunt, you know, not to produce as much. But to that I say, I have evidence that contradicts that. There's chamomile flowering just fine, you know, and it's been in the haze for the last 3 weeks. You know, all these plants have. You still got the yarrow, which is flowering well, you know, the milkweed, butterfly milkweed putting on its buds. I mean, everything's going along pretty well. So I don't think the Canadian wildfire haze really hindered. I think it helped, honestly. I do. I think it helped because it stayed a nice moderate temperature too. It wasn't like overwhelmingly hot, like, you know, muggy and shit. It was like being on the inside of a nicely well-controlled, well-ventilated greenhouse. Essentially. Snap peas. I've got tons of seeds. I'm gonna grow snap peas all the way around the fences. All the fences. It's gonna get snap peas. But yeah, man, you just let them grow. When the top parts of them here turn brown, you can pop them off and bring them in the house to dry. Put them in a brown paper bag if you'd like, and let them dry. And then you got your own seeds. Let them dry for a week. You know. Okay, we're skipping a bunch of stuff, but there's a lot to talk about. 8 minutes in, but that doesn't matter, you know. Some of these videos have to be, you know, 20 minutes long in order to convey all the points and all that good stuff. So we got this jigsaw pepper, or no, this is Chiroroxa, and it's putting on its peppers there. Now you can get a lot of bottom growth and a lot of suckers that'll come off of the stalk. I like to clip those off and kind of like do what they call in the cannabis industry lollipopping, kind of. You know, I don't let any of the sucker branches grow up the main stalk. You get these other leaves here, that's fine, but then you get stuff like this where it wants to branch out, like this right here, like wants to grow and branch. Pull that off there. We don't need that. All right, but the big leaves, that's fine, that's cool. And now we're getting flowers on this. This is 7-pot bubble gum. You know, those are coming in. Yellow scorpions back here. I love the way this plant's shaped. This is gonna put on a lot of peppers. Dragon's breath here. Primatali in the back. All my wheat got knocked over. I got fenugreek growing here. Fenugreek's a really rare herb. Not a lot of people use it, but if you've ever had a Nepalese cuisine, or you know, that Indian food, I guess you could say, not halal, that's Middle Eastern, but more of a, I don't know what you call it, Hindu, Nepalese is what I call it. They use a lot of fenugreek, and it's a tough one to find. You got to grow it if you want it. Zinnia flower, I haven't paid much attention to this. I planted it, it came up, and then it just let it do its thing. And then this is a climbing L-trip tomato, also known as the tomato tree from Burgess. has leaves that kind of resemble potato plants. This is my 3rd year growing it. It puts on massive tomatoes. That one's not doing so hot because it's all crowded in, but I got enough tomatoes right now to where I'm not really stressing about it, just letting them grow just for something to do. Squash bonnets, gotta keep that shit weeded. My philosophy on weeds is if it doesn't grow within a foot of the plant, then it's not going to bother it, right? If they're just weeds, like one single weed, I don't care what it is, dandelion, lamb's quarter, burdock even, I don't think its root structure expands out from 1 foot from its center. You know what I mean? Like, imagine this is a weed. I don't think that it's going to put out roots that go out to here 1 foot away. Okay, that's a lot of space. So if I don't have weeds growing within, you know, a foot of that plant, then it's not competing with weeds. Okay, so you don't have to do the weeding as much. Here we got Fatales. This one right here is about to come in. It's a beautiful color of orange. I like it. It's still green on the back though, but only I could get that orange in there, man. That's a really nice shade of orange. Real peachy, but yellowish. It's pretty. It's pretty. But I ate one of them when they were green. Yeah, they're pretty close to habanero heat. This right here is the 7-pot bubble gum that was growing in the Gatorade bottle. You guys remember, I told y'all I had this growing, you know, in my videos all last year, and part of the year before that, from 2021, is when this was planted, and it grew in this Gatorade bottle up until I put it out here in May. Or was it early June? One of them. But yeah, it's bushing out, it's putting on flowers. I know it's small and I shouldn't let it, but I'm going to let it flower at this size because it's a year-old plant. It's more than ready to put on fruits, even if it is short and low to the ground. It already is. Look how anxious this thing is. Look at that. I already got a 7-pot off of that. Finally. But let's get into sucker roots too. Like, you got these main bush here, and you can grab it and you can feel it, and it's kind of pliable, but it's not flimsy. Whereas this, you grab it, it's flimsy. I mean, it'll strengthen up as you let it get bigger, but look at all this plant mass up here on this front, right? I don't need this extra plant growth in the back, so I'm going to clip that out. And we're going to maintain focus on the healthier part of the plant, which is over here, right? And it's going to bush up. Oh, Sugar Rush Peach Stripies coming in. Pretty excited about that one. That's a highly sought after pepper that's a pain in the ass to germinate. Cucumbers. These are all from a pack of Space Masters. Some of them are Space Masters, some of them aren't. See, this right here is a Space Master. Look at this. This is probably 1 square foot. All right. And it is loaded with cucumbers. And these cucumbers are delicious, and they come out big. Just because the plant's small doesn't mean these cucumbers are going to come out small. They come out pretty decent. They come out really decent. We got this one over here is putting on a ton of male flowers, so it's pollinating all this. So that's really working out for me there. Just these 2 cucumber plants. I got more planted over here. Blue Adirondack potatoes doing their thing. It's massive plants. The potatoes are really good. I pulled out a few not too long ago and made some home fries with them. Purple Black Nebula carrots over here from the gardening extension. These were a bit slow to start, and they could definitely use some fertilizer and more frequent watering. But it's been so dry that I reluctantly water it because I don't want them splitting. You know what I mean? Because they will split. If they're dry for too long and you add too much water, all them carrots will crack on you. I'm propagating this black raspberry. Look how much this has grown since last month, right? It was just 1 stem, and now it's just bushed out like crazy. So I'm gonna tip propagate. I took the tips of the plants and put them in a pot, set a brick on top of the stalk, and that way it held it down so it doesn't bounce out. And then I just buried the tip with dirt, and this will send out shoots. You know, this will grow more black raspberries. Dill, it's as tall as I am. I keep pulling off its flowers because I don't want it going to seed. Because once it goes to seed, it's everywhere. That stuff is easy to grow. Tomato patch. I don't really bury or stake my tomatoes anymore. I found out you don't have to do that. The only upside with staking your tomatoes is pest control and aesthetics, really. And a lot of gardening that people do is about aesthetics. They like their things to look nice, whereas nature doesn't care. Look at that. You think nature cares how it grows? As long as it's growing and it does well, and I get loads of tomatoes, and any part that the stalk touches, the stem, the stalk touches that dirt right there. Look at that, it's split. You see it split there. But anywhere that stalk touches, it's going to put out roots, and it's just going to cause this tomato to grow out further. And so that's a trick there that not many people like, because look at that, it's a mess. It's a mess. You get hornworms in that, dude, good luck. You might not find it before it's too late. But as long as you keep up with your stuff, you don't have to worry about it. I'm out here every day. I obsess over my garden. This is my life. This is what I do. So if you don't have the ability to be out here every day keeping an eye on your stuff, you're going to want to stake your tomatoes. But if not, let them go wild. Let them do their thing, and you'll get excellent results. Kale that was from last year. Remember, this stuff was dead to the ground. Dead to the ground. I planted this last year. It died all the way back to the stalk, and now look at that. Man, that is a nice kale plant. That is nice. And it's already putting on seeds. A lot of people haven't seen where kale seeds come from. Somebody thought their kale or their turnips had cross-pollinated with their green beans. I'm like, that's not how that works. That doesn't happen. But yeah, those are your seed pods from brassicas. Look like green beans, but they're tough and chewy, and they don't taste good. Kind of bitter. Not worth eating. Another Churro Roxa, and here's another example of just letting nature do its thing. Trusting the plant, neglecting it. Because look at this plant, man. It is nice. It is loaded with flowers. And do I weed? Well, you be the judge. Nope, not really. I don't. Squash, zucchini, more tomatoes. I got watermelon back there. Watermelon over here. This is Royal Golden. I don't know what I'm missing on watermelon, but I'll keep working at it. Purple tomatillos. You get flea beetle damage, little bugs, little black beetles like to come through and eat holes in your leaves. The plant still grows. It's just cosmetic. It's just one of those things. I've never had much issue from them aside from them just putting holes in the leaves. They don't really destroy the plant. I mean, it's budding. That's going to put on fruit. Asian pear from seed. This is its second year. Got clipped by the weed eater the first year. I tell that every time I talk about this plant, and it came back like that. And we got a kid over here taking a leak in the wheat. Okay, Caden. You can't just go wherever you want, kid. Shit. Well, all right then. Okay. Just doing his own thing. Wild man. Let nature run its course with that one. Twister peppers. Check this big boy out. This is from store-bought. Yeah, buddy. So you say you can't grow store-bought fruits and vegetables? Nah, I beg to differ, man. I beg to differ. You just got to get it when it's ripe. Right? That pretty much wraps up the garden here. That's pretty much everything. Here's the peach tree over there grown from seed. I got 5, maybe 6 peach trees grown from seed, which puts me at 7 peach trees on this property here. So this is grown from seed. As it puts on fruits, I'll showcase it a bit more as we progress. But right now, it's nothing to brag about, It might not be anything more than just rootstock. All right, and back over here, goji. Goji berries. It needs pruned out. You know, we got these long runners over here that just fall down because they're too big. I just leave it as a bush. I don't want them getting this big, so I'll come back and I'll cut that out or just rip it out. This plant can handle the abuse. Another peach tree grown from seed. This one I may have gotten from a local farmer's market. So I'm like, man, those peaches were delicious. I'd like to regrow them, and we'll see if it works. And then I do also have Saturn peaches that I got from the grocery store. I saved seeds from, and I have one of those growing in the front. Bergamot, still coming back. Chamomile. There was lavender in here, but I'll let all this grow over. Jerusalem artichoke keeps getting mowed down by the deer, but its stuff is so easy to grow. I literally came out here one day and I grabbed this plant as it, you know, it looked like this. I just uprooted it, showed my girlfriend what the roots look like, and then I just put it right back in the dirt. And it's still alive. I just pop right back to life. This stuff is so invasive too, it just spreads like wildfire. Here's more goji berry. Speaking of, this stuff is quite bushy just like that. It's a propagated tip off of that. This is elderberry that we're attempting to grow. Something comes through, the deer love it, but it's coming back. It's making a little bit of a comeback here. So pretty excited about that. And then up in the front, there's pawpaw trees over here. Just got a cauliflower growing here on this. You know, it's getting ate up by worms, but we find bees in there too. And the bees seem to help keep down the pest population too. A specific kind of hunter bee or something like that. And more of those climbing L-trip tomatoes, or the Italian tree tomato. Putting on loads of flowers, man. This plant right here, I hope it cross-pollinates with one of my, like my black Crimmer Cherokee purple, because if I could get massive tomatoes off of this and they'd be purple, that'd be the best, man, because those are so damn good.
Raspberry.
Yeah, and black raspberry here. We got a couple of fruits off of it, but the birds have found it, or the gopher or something, and they get a hold of them before we do. So yeah, that's how it's gonna go this year. Raspberry just decided to grow up over here. This is its main bush on this side. It's doing really good, but it's spreading out like crazy. So if you grow raspberries, and you want them to grow in a specific place, you better grow them in a pot, a very big pot, or else they'll just start roaming around and taking up places where they can pop up.
This
is the pawpaw tree. There's one of them.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Three of them.
Three of them.
Four, five.
And there's five. And they're no bigger than, no, I'd say 18 inches to 2 foot tall, roughly about. But only one of these is going to get left behind, and then we're going to find another stand to bring in to pollinate, so we'll have pawpaws growing on this property too. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'd be 9 different types of fruit growing on this property here. Yeah, and then the kid's got his tomato plant over there. But here we are in 24 minutes, and now I'm just kind of walking around. White mulberry bush coming up that I'm air layering as well. These are white mulberries. Birds love them. This tree is, I didn't realize it was white mulberries for the longest time. But this tree's every bit of, 50, well, maybe not 50, maybe 30, 40 feet tall, by a good 20 foot wide. And it's loaded with fruit. And it's been loaded for the last month. So this tree right here is great because it stays in production for so long, Like you come out here every day and pick 1 or 2 berries. You got to climb high for the good ones though, because if they're easy to get to, the birds will get to them. You can bet on that. But every once in a while you come across these ones that are just fall right into your hand, and they're snow white, like this one right here. If I can wrap my fingers around it.
And I can eat it.
Well, it just been falling off like it's supposed to. But yeah, just a white mulberry.
Yep. Time for me to eat.
There you go.
Out.
Is it good?
Yep.
Yep. What's it taste like?
It tastes like mulberries.
Tastes like mulberries. Sweet or bitter?
Sweet.
Sweet, yeah.
Those are all right.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Yeah.
And then we got lavender that I propagated last year, year before. St. John's wort. This one's new. We put this one in last year, and it went to seed, and I guess a lot of its rootstock made a comeback, and also some of the seeds that I planted may have come up as well, because I just took it like you would ginseng, took all the seeds off the plant and just scattered down here and spread them in like you would if it was in the wild, you know, just doing its thing naturally, but just with a little bit of assistance. And it's come back prolifically. So now we have St. John's wort, lavender, mint, spearmint, chocolate mint, and there's some other type of mint that's hidden back in here somewhere too. And then the mint just goes crazy. Lavender, I had to pull out this one lavender plant that was here, and this one right here is the OG. This is the first one that I planted, and it's still doing the best. All right, and now for the final part here. These are more peach trees that were grown from seed. I put out a crabapple tree. I moved that from the yard. Put my cherry tree where I had this, and I put this out here. And then we got all these peach trees that were started from seed last year. 2, 3, right? And the deer come through and mowed them down. But then they come back and they just fork out, you know. So it'll make it a shorter tree, but more bushy eventually, hopefully, you know. And then this right here is the Saturn peach. It's supposed to be a Saturn peach. I might have gotten my seeds mixed up, but that's his first year growth. And it's already a foot tall just about in its first year. And that should grow another foot before the end of the season. So that's gonna be awesome. And that wraps up the garden. That is everything that is growing. This big, beautiful pine tree here.